Hello, welcome to this today's video. Today's video will be com a joining of two very important moments I've had this past week. Um, there was a video I made where I was like, completely breaking down, losing my mind and all, but I still filmed myself, and uploaded it because I wanted it to be a marker of this, of a horrible, like I don't know, it's just a marker for me in a way, and I didn't even know why, but when I made the video, like making the video, I felt some sort of relief, even though, you could hear me losing it, I still felt a little bit of relief doing all of that. And then this past Sunday, as yesterday, it was one of the best days I've had in a while because my family, my siblings, my brothers, they took me out basically. They were with me, we went together to church, we went to see a movie. Church is not important, whatever, it's just the going that was really precious to me. We went to see a movie together, and then after a movie, we went to, because it was the whole multiplex with different things available, different attractions. So after the movie, we went to the rooftop restaurant, and then we had the most awesome time having dinner together, and we're just like eating from each other's plates, and it was just fun. And then we're so full, we had takeaways, then we went home together. Like it was such a beautiful moment, and even when I was editing it just hits me, in that moment I was like, there is something I want to say, but I didn't have the words, so I was reminded of this quote from a very special book that I feel like has like changed me, you know change is always like, change is impermanent, you're always going to change, but this book was like, this book is so important to me. And the name of the book is, the title of the book is Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. Like this book is it's just as if it's not the same as me. The author's situation is not exactly like mine, but it's quite similar. And it's like this person puts themselves out in the open. The thing that really allows, and it made me it makes me realize that the thing that really allows this emotion, these horrors, to this suffering to thrive is shame, and guilt. Shame and guilt. Like for me, or from my own experience, shame and guilt. The shame being that, like, I don't want other people to know that I'm going through this thing. You know, guilt that, oh, I have people that love me, and I don't want them to feel like what I'm going through is their fault, but I can't help it, I'm going through it. So he literally told everything from, I don't know, from beginning. I haven't completed the book though, but just the much that I have read, it has had an impact on me. I got to the point where I got 10 quotes from it. You get? So these 10 quotes were so important to me that I journaled them. I journaled them, and that was November of last year. Okay, it was so, like, it was, I when I was writing down this quote, I was crying, and it was not crying sad cry. I was just very relieved. You understand? I was so relieved. It just felt like I was seen in this way, for the first time. And that was not like, every time I read a chapter from that book, I always feel seen. So like shame and guilt are like the major things that make me feel stuck, whenever I'm having those moments. So recording it, you can see how you can understand where my relief came from, because the things that you feel are shameful about yourself, once you put them in the lightness of the sun, once you expose them, you begin to see that they don't really have anything. Like there's nothing in it. It's just a thing, of human experience. Why should you feel shame about the feelings that you have? Okay, like you are not anybody's standard. You are not anybody's lookbook. So why should you feel shameful about it? And if you even, anyway, before I ramble on, I want to I'm making this video like to see how those two moments, they are like both sides of the same coin. That's human existence, me. Okay, me having that horrible day, or me having that horrible moment where like I felt like I was suffering so much, and I felt like I was buried in some dark, deep hell. And me also having this very bright moment where it feels like as if I'm at the top of a Ferris wheel and I'm standing on it and I'm screaming my heart out, and it's like I could fly. In fact, I was flying. Like they're just both sides of the same coin, that is my physical existence. Where they begin to feel, where the issue starts is when I try to separate them, like, oh, this is different, or this is not, or I say this part of me that is suffering and everything is not the real me, or this part of me that is having the most ecstatic day of their life or ecstatic moment ever is a different part of me. You get, no, they are both me. Okay, and for every human being, um even though they are not, we are all differently, unique in that way. We are all unique in our own, sufferings and our joys. You get, we are still, it's all just moments. Okay, it's not something to be, for me. Oh, basically I'm saying to myself, it's like, it's just, that's why I'm making this video as a marker. I just want to tell myself that neither of them, is who I am. Okay, I am not this suffering, and I am also not this joy. Okay, I am just in the moment having, I'm just in my present being having a moment. Okay, what I am is infinite awareness. I am consciousness, spread out through the entire universe, this entire galaxy. Okay, and I am simply having a human experience. This video is just like a marker to tell myself that I am not the suffering, and I am also not the joy or the ecstasy. Okay, I am just awareness. Okay, I'm just having a human experience either ways. Oh, yeah. So I've written it down in this journal, and I am going to go ahead with, you know, breaking down why these quotes are very special to me. So the first quote is, "You are on another planet. No one understands what you are going through, but actually they do. You don't think they do because the only reference point is yourself. You have never felt this way before, and the shock of descent is traumatizing you. But others have been here. You are in a dark land with populations of millions." This is just translating in my head, or this is just translated to my head, into fear of the unknown. Because every time you have a new moment, whether where you are suffering, it feels like it's the first time, and there's a different trigger for every single one of them, and then you don't know how to handle it, and our minds, our brains are not taught to deal with unknowns. Okay, everything that we think that we know has already been experienced by other people. So when you're in a situation where your brain is cramping and panicking for nothing that you can put a finger on, you're going to doubly lose your mind. Okay, there's going to be alarm signals everywhere, sirens blaring, the red light is on in your head, and you have no reference point. And that's the beauty of this book, because he doesn't act as a reference point per se, but he just makes you know that there are other people too that are going through this unknowns. Okay, and unlike what your brain keeps telling you, you are not going to die if you face it. When you face whatever is unknown, the unknown does not kill you. Okay, it's just a learning curve. And I'm just reminding myself that whatever emotion or trigger that comes up, I'm just going through a learning curve. Like Abraham Hicks would say, you're jumping out of an airplane and you don't have any parachute on. Hold on, it will soon be over. Like, that's just what is going on. um second quote: "Things aren't going to get worse. You want to kill yourself. That is as low as it gets. There is only upwards from here." Now, another thing that is a very stark lie, and very illogical of this mind that is going through this mental distress, is that it keeps telling, it normalizes the thoughts of wanting to kill yourself. It becomes normal to think about killing yourself. You look over the ledge and you think, oh, what if I jump? You think of different ways to harm yourself all the time. I mean, Well, I do that. It's not as bad as before, but it's still there a bit. And that video was me trying not to get to that place, okay, because of how my non-linear progress has been happening. So I was trying not to get to that point, but it felt as if, when I think that way, I feel a bit of relief, about harming myself. I feel a bit of relief, because I do it to my mind, but because I've stopped it in the sense like I don't want to do that anymore. As it doesn't come it's not more my coping mechanism. I found a way to cope outside of harming myself in my head, okay, but there's still a suffering, that triggered the harming yourself. So that suffering coming up, it was just like, how do I now handle this feeling? I've never handled it by itself before. Do I just, what do I do in this moment? I don't know how to cope with this kind of suffering. Usually this is what I'll do, but I'm not doing that anymore. So now what? And the brain was just losing it, the mind was losing it. But that's just a lie. That's just a lie. Okay. There is no much horror for me to be buried under. I already feel like I'm buried. Where else can I go? I'm already in the ground. Where else could I go? See how illogical it is. You begin to think that it's normal that everybody else thinks of killing themselves. No, not everybody thinks of killing themselves. You get, it's a symptom of something else. You get something that you are not able to pinpoint. But it's okay. It's okay because you can only go up from here. Basically, you can only go up from here. I hope I'm making sense. I'm trying to be not rambly as much. The third quote that I really enjoyed, what I got from the second quote is that I can only go upwards from there, and it just makes so much sense. Of course, I'm already in the ground. Where else can I go? I can only shoot out in birds, in trees, in fruits. I can only go up. Yeah. The third one, you hate yourself. That is because you are sensitive. Pretty much every human could find a reason to hate themselves if they thought about it as much as you did. We're all total bastards, us humans, but also totally wonderful. Which is what I was saying earlier on, that I am not my suffering, but I'm also not my joy. Okay, I don't identify with both of them. I just see them for what they are. Just me, infinite consciousness, having a human moment, having a physical experience. And one of the physical experiences of being a human being is joy. It's suffering. And I don't want to, I refuse, or I step back from identifying with them, and I am free. When I can step back from identifying with either one, I'm free. It's the same thing here where it says we are all bastards and we're also totally wonderful, which is true. Like, to people that are really close to me, I can be very annoying, but also very lovely. Does that make me any like alien from who they think I am? I don't think so. I'm not in their head, but I don't think so. So that's the thing. Like, when you feel like you hate yourself, you don't hate yourself because there is some undeniable innate failure of who you are. Do you get? There is some undeniable innate wrongness about who you are as a human being, basically. No, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie. That's a fucking lie. You're just really sensitive, and there's a magnifying glass in your brain that picks apart every little thing, because maybe that's where you've been conditioned to look at yourself. Maybe that's the standard you tell yourself to, and I can feel where that is coming from. I know that is coming from religion. Just, I know it's just religion, my religious background, which I have flung away, but still, the programming still like, it's still there. It doesn't persist, but it's still there, and sometimes it just creeps up. It just crops up, and suffering ensues. Anyway, we're all total bastards, but we're also totally wonderful. Next quote. So what? You have a label, depressive. Everyone would have a label if they ask the right professional, which is so real. I mean, yeah, all of us, like, labels, like human, like, pattern of behavior. Like, human beings cannot go a day without giving something a label. Okay, they can't go without labeling something. Like, even now, like I would like to label this moment I'm having, all of that. So yeah, some of the word depressive can be very, like, overwhelming. You might begin to there was a time I took this online survey, about the kind of level of depression I was under. That was in 2020, when I just started coming into awareness of my, like, clear awareness of my mental states. and I took on this online test, and I was so scared of the result. And then when I got the result, it said mildly depressed. And that day I was so happy. It was like I could run 100 kilometers and not be tired. I don't know how long this was. I could run 100 miles and not be tired because of how happy I was. I thought I was greatly depressed, but for the survey to tell me I was mildly depressed, I felt so freaking good. And if you think about it, you are depressed. So that is how important labels are to human beings, to get to us as human, like not us, because I'm not really a human being. I'm infinite awareness, infinite consciousness. I am just having a human experience. But to the personas and to the images we've built over ourselves, that social conditioning has built for us, we want to give ourselves a label to fit into a box. The boxes that run this system, that we currently live in. This system cannot exist without putting human beings in boxes, and those boxes are everywhere. So one of those boxes is depressive. It says nothing. It's just a box. It's just a thing. Just a label. It says nothing about who you are. I don't know if you got that, but yeah, it was just like, it just made it less threatening. When I like came across the quote. Number 5, that feeling you have that everything is going to get worse is just a symptom. For outward expressions of manifestations of pain, people go to the hospital. Oh, I feel headache. Oh, my legs hurt, and like they diagnose them and they give them a drug. And once you follow your treatment, you might find relief, or you feel better, or you be completely healed. Whatever. But for those kind of um pains that are mental, non-tangible, how do you begin to treat them? Like, how do you classify them enough to be treated, and what can you give for such a feeling, for such pains? And they all, those pains are manifested in feelings, emotions, you get. And now for this person that is going through, if you read the book, like as I read the book, I realized that he was going through something similar to my experience. And for him to now boldly say that feeling that you have, that everything is going to get worse, is just a symptom. And it just makes so much sense, because there's always that fear that things are much, 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 much worse than even the suffering that I am, like, my body or my person is feeling right now. When I say body, I mean this human existence. So that day when I was having that moment, I as I was having that moment, I kept crying, because I was like, gosh, in the next minute, in the next second, God, I'm going to feel even worse. Like, what is, like something worse is going to happen. Like I said, sirens were blaring all over my head, ambulance running back and forth, fire alarms going off in my head. And I was just like, God, what is the problem? Where do I start from? Not God, because that is not the real thing, but God as in, like, me, okay, just as an exclamation. Like, where is the fire to put out? I can't find any fire to put out. Where is the patient that is sick? Let me take him to the hospital. There is no patient. What are the alarms for? Then why are the alarms blaring? But as the alarms are blaring, you can't even, like, that is all the brain, all the senses focuses on. There was no thought, like, indifferent observation, looking in at the madness going on and being like, I don't think anything's going on, but since you are going through it, let's just go through it then. There was no thought. So that feeling just felt like, okay, things are going to get worse. The alarms are there because things are going to get worse. But the writer, has gone through treatment, or is probably going through treatment, and he's saying the feeling is just a symptom. It's not an undeniable truth. Number 6, minds have their own weather systems. You are in a hurricane. Hurricanes run out of energy eventually. Hold on. And, like, how fucking true is that? We are born witness. You see hurricanes on the TV, when it comes, and the effect of the hurricanes is devastating. It's so devastating, and it's even scary to behold. Even through cameras, like, you still feel how terrifying a hurricane is. But one thing that is constant about hurricanes, they always come to an end. They can't go on in perpetuity. They always come to an end. And the thing just made me feel so good, because before I saw this quote, there was no other word I could have used to describe except madness, which gives a very weird connotation even when I say it to myself. But if I call it a hurricane, it just makes so much sense. Like, there was no qualifier of such destruction and wreck and wretchedness and horror that I could describe, and like I could use a word to quantify those things. And now he came up with hurricanes, and it just makes so much sense. And one thing about hurricanes, they always come to an end. I hope you got that. I hope you got my idea about it. Number 7, ignore stigma. Every illness had stigma once. We fear getting ill, and fear tends to lead to prejudice before information. Polio used to be erroneously blamed on poor people, for instance, and depression is often seen as a weakness or personality failing. Okay, so this is so important to me. Like, even as I'm like speaking, I'm recalling when I used the word shame, and recently I saw one of my journals from 2014, and there, like when I was still very religious, there were some things I was saying about myself. The way I used to see myself as this pillar of society, of community, like this class captain of heaven, this prefect of angels, that I have to be perfect. I'm only perfect when I follow so religious expectations, when I fulfill such religious obligations. And because I've started fulfilling it at such a young age, I have to keep on fulfilling for the rest of my life. If not, I'll go to hellfire. And knowing that I don't want to go to hellfire, there's also the whole idea that I took so much pride in knowing that I was this every time I fulfilled my obligations and then I felt perfect, maybe I asked God for forgiveness, or maybe I rejected my emotions or denied my senses or denied myself or made myself look like nothing, compared to some external being outside of me. Every time I did that, I always felt like I was this icon of righteousness. I was this symbol of perfection that people looked on. Which people, mama? I don't know, but I just felt like a lot of people were looking up to me. I was like some kind of church girl kind of personality that had to be perfect all the time. I could not sleep up, even though it was just in my head. I literally wrote it in this journal. It's all here. So like when I saw it, it just hit me that this is the burden I've been carrying. So no wonder when I started to feel, I started to come into clarity of how crazy things were up here, or I don't use the word crazy, or how much of a hurricane that I used to experience in my head most of the time. I felt like I had failed. I felt like I was a failure. In those moments of suffering, I feel like a failure. And then I try to say things like, it's because I'm not doing well in life. I don't have a job. My YouTube channel is this. I don't have a boyfriend, or my lover is this, or my lover is that. All those kind of things. Just judging myself with the outward external. But now I see that all those things that I'm using to like explain my feelings of failure, they are just masks. They're just illusion. That feeling of failure is coming from the programming that I put myself under due to my religious background. Feeling like I'm supposed to be this perfect angel, this icon or beacon of righteousness, and then having these feelings of hurricane in my head. It will probably, yeah, of course it is going to create like this dissonance, like who the fuck are you, and then I am you, and you're like, how are you me when you are failing in this mental department, when you are suffering in this manner. You are supposed, if everything is perfect, if everything is perfect, why can't you make your head perfect? I don't know if this makes sense. Why can't you make your brain be perfect? Why is your brain suffering so much? That means you have failed. And if you failed, you should hide it. You should hide that shit. You shouldn't let people know that you are suffering. It shouldn't be something that you talk about boldly. And it's like, this makes a lot of sense. That's why when I was making the video, I said it in the video. I don't remember, but I think I said it where I was like, making the video makes me feel relief, and I didn't know why I felt relief. I think it's the fact that this kind of feelings of deep-rooted feelings of failure, like that there is something wrong with you as a human being, like there's some innate wrongness about you, not with you as a human, but there's some innate wrongness about me as a human being. That feeling is just um because of the programming and the box I tried to shove myself in, for the longest time. It was not a perfect fit, but I shoved myself nonetheless. And maybe I broke bones, maybe I broke limbs, maybe my joints are gone out of whack, maybe I'm smooshed somewhere, and maybe there are some pains that, you know, that are still there. And those that shoving myself into the box of righteousness, you know, of righteous religious righteousness, the icon, the beacon of holiness, you know, the prefect of angels, the prefect of heaven, class captain of God, all of those things. Like, all that shoving myself I did, all those shoving I did myself, pushing myself into this box, you know, now that I have thrown off the box, wow, now that I've thrown off the box, of course there's expected to be pains. Like, when you shove yourself in a position, like when you squeeze yourself, when I'm not a professional contortionist, you know, and I squeeze myself into a box, if I when I come out of that place, of course I'm going to like feel like cracking my neck, cracking my limbs. But then what if bones have been broken by shoving myself in that box? Yes, the box is out, I'm no longer in that box, but there would still be some healing, you know, there's still be some pains that needs to be resolved, that needs time to heal, you know. So I feel like when I made that video, I think it was one of the signs of me healing. Wow, I feel like it's one of the signs of me healing, you know, like healing pains or growing pains, I don't know. Like, you know, when you take, there are some treatments, like, okay, like after getting this place stitched up, you know, I had a very deep cut here. When I got it stitched up, bro, I was suffering. Like, I itched, the place itched, it ached me, you know, it was really tough, you know, when this, but it was healing, okay, it was healing, but I was also suffering a little bit because of the healing process. And I feel like that is what my brain is going through now. Like, my mind, my body is going through healing, and that is why I'm feeling uncomfortable, and that is why it's an unknown. This is like a fear of the unknown, okay, and the unknown being healing. Okay, I've never like healed in that way mentally before, and now that my process of healing has started, of course it's going to be an adjustment. Okay, of course it's going to be a quietness to it. There's not going to be any sort of movement in a way, and of course I'm going to, you know, adjust a lot. Wow, even the feeling of being buried is not bad, because it's not buried in the sense of buried being dead, it's buried in the sense of planting a seed, you know, and you know, as the seed grows, the seed is going to die to give way to what, a bud, and this bud is going to be energized, you know, by its environment. That soil that it is buried in is going to actually help it to push forth and outward and upward into growth. And I feel like that is what that day was. I was healing. Wow. Maybe I should change the title of the video to healing. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I can't say anything anymore. I'm just so, this is such an epiphany. I'm so happy. Whoa. Okay. I have to tell my friend about it. I'll continue the quote in the next video. See you guys. Bye bye. If you liked it and you enjoyed it and you have comments, of course, you know what to do. Bye.